In this ed puzzle, we're gonna work on doing the constructions for different sized angles. So we're gonna be working on copying angles and also adding, doubling them, tripling them, and also adding different angles together. So one thing we wanna make sure of is that we are showing all of our construction marks. That is the equivalence of you guys showing your work. So make sure you're not erasing anything and that you are showing as many marks as you need to show. And again, if you need to refer to the construction bank at any point, it is on Google Classroom and it has all of these constructions on there. So first thing we're going to do is in this box here, we're going to go over the construction if we want to just copy an angle or if we want to construct a congruent angle. So we're going to copy angle number 1 in this box here. So the first steps kind of follow what we've done so far. So your first step is to take your straight edge and just make a reference line, and that's going to essentially be the new house of the angle that you create. So we're going to mark the starting point as we did for lessons 1 and 2, and I'm just going to call that D prime. Now our next step is we need to now make a reference arc that is going to help us measure our angle. So you're going to place your needle on the vertex and you can make this arc as large or as small as you want to. The only condition is that it needs to touch your angle twice. So what I mean by that is when you are making your reference arc, it needs to have these two intersection points that you see here. And you want to mark those as well. Now, be careful, you cannot change the width of your compass. So keep the width of your compass matching your reference arc, and you're gonna make that reference arc again. So you're gonna put your needle on your new starting point and make that reference arc. But the only difference here is that we can't intersect twice yet, but you just need to make sure that it is touching your reference line one time, and you wanna mark that as well. Our next step is to measure the opening of our angle, and we're going to do that simply by placing our needle and our pencil on those intersection points from our reference arc that we made over here. So I'm going to lock my compass, and we're just going to copy that opening. So we're going to place our needle on the intersection point that we have here, and we are just, without opening or closing our compass, we are just making that arc. Now, a common theme that you'll see, again, is marking your intersection points of your arcs, but then also drawing with your straight edge a line that goes through that intersection. So once we have our points labeled, F prime and E prime, we are absolutely done. All right, now the next one that we're going to work on in this box here is we're going to show how to double the size of an angle, and we're going to do this for angle number 2. So what you want to do here is, again, your first step is going to pretty much be repeated by a lot of constructions that you do. You are making a reference line and marking your starting point. And my starting point here, I am going to call it A prime. Then what you're going to do is make your reference arc. So even though we're doubling our angle, we still have to start by copying it. So the same steps hold, at least for the beginning. So our reference arc, we need to make sure touches our angle twice, and we are marking those points. And then without changing the width of our compass, we are making that reference arc again, where our new angle is going to be housed. Then after this, we have to measure the opening of our angle by placing our needle and our pencil on those original intersection points. And then we are going to mimic this value simply by taking our compass and bringing our needle over to that intersection point that we had and making our arc. Now, if we took our straight edge and drew a line through this intersection point, that would be just copying the angle one time. But we don't want to copy the angle one time. If we're doubling the value of the angle, we need to copy that opening twice. So what we're going to do is take our needle, put it on this intersection point, and we're just going to mark that opening one more time. Now here, if I mark this point, drawing with our straight edge through that intersection point, we've doubled the opening of our angle. So then you want to label your points. We have C prime and we have B prime. Now, if you wanted to triple your angle or quadruple your angle, you would simply have to mark that opening the appropriate number of times. So if we were tripling it, I would put my needle here, mark that opening again, and then I would instead draw my straight edge through here. All right, the last one that we're going to do is adding the two angles up. So for this one, what you want to do first is, again, the same first steps hold. You are drawing a reference line and you are marking your starting point. I'm not going to put a letter here. I'll explain why in a little bit. So I'm just marking my start point with a dot. So then what you want to do is you are making your reference arc. However, you need to make the reference arc on both of your angles. So whatever size I'm using for angle number 1, I need to make sure that I am bringing that over and using the same size for angle number 2. Then what you want to do is mark those points where your arc is intersecting your angle. And you want to make, again, that same size reference arc on your new house, on the reference line that you made. And you want to exaggerate this a little bit because we're adding these two angles up, so we want to make sure that we have enough room for it. All right, now what you have to do is just measure the opening of both of your angles. So I'm going to start with angle number 1. I'm going to measure the opening by placing my needle and my pencil on those intersection points that we made from our reference arc. We're going to lock the compass and we are going to mark that opening in our new space. Now, if we drew with our straight edge through this intersection point here, we would have copied angle FDE. However, we don't want to just copy angle FDE. We need to add the value of angle CAB. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our compass and we're going to measure the opening of angle CAB. What you're going to do now is, making sure you're not opening or closing your compass, place your needle on your intersection point here, and now you're going to make an arc that represents the opening of angle CAB. Now what you're going to do is, you can probably guess the step, you're going to take your straight edge and you are going to draw a line through that intersection point. And there you have it. This angle now that we've constructed represents the sum of angle FDE and angle CAB. So again, you want to make sure that you are showing all of your construction marks. And if you were adding more angles, let's say you were adding a third angle onto it, you would simply have to measure the opening with your reference arc and just make another arc over here. Okay, we're not going to label the letters. Typically in a situation like this, it'll tell you what to label your angle, but if it doesn't specify, then you don't have to worry about it.